Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mon Korean. Today I'm going live from Tiju's Academy Tiruvalla branch. Hope all of you are doing good. So let's start today's session, the speaking session that I take every week. So today let's discuss about some common grammatical errors while speaking. So speaking, as you all know, GRA also is a part of it, that is grammatical range and accuracy. And it has a weightage of 25%. So let's see what are the common grammatical errors when a candidate goes in. Adine common mistakes avar cheyyunnathu. Let's check that out today. So let's go ahead and see what's in the first slide. Adithe slide il endana nammal ittekune. Let's go and check that. Okay, the first one is tense error. Tenses ellarku ariyalo, past, present and the future. So tense is a big error that I have seen here in my tenure with Tiju's Academy. Most of the candidates that come, they have an issue with tenses. So namakku idu nokkam. So tense error endana. So it is one of the major and common mistakes which students do in any of the modules of IELTS. To avoid this error, it's very important to have knowledge of the tenses of English grammar. In the module of speaking, particularly 3 to 4 types of tenses are used, which are as follows. The simple present tense is used to show the facts or statements in general. General ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ the simple present ആണ് നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ട് ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. The sky is blue. The earth revolves around the sun. The next എന്താണ് നമുക്ക് നോക്കാം. The next is the present continuous tense, which is used to speak about the actions which are being done recently. Present എന്താണ് ഇപ്പോൾ നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്, കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആണ്. പ്രസന്റ് തൽക്കാലത്തേക്ക് present continuous tense. So let's see an example. For example, I am currently pursuing my secondary education at Chandigarh or wherever, or university. So I am currently working as an English trainer in Tiju's Academy. So that's the present continuous. I am doing a job in the marketing and sales department. So ഞാൻ ഒരു marketing and sales department work ചെയ്യുവാണ്. So I am doing a job in the marketing and sales department. And let's check the simple past tense. നമ്മുടെ past tense നമുക്ക് check ചെയ്യാം. What does it say? Simple past tense is a tense which is widely used in speaking, as the major portion of speaking is to be done in the past. Many of the actions and activities which have been done in past have to be spoken for. So speaking module, most of the questions, I believe almost 80 to 90% of the questions നമ്മൾ ഇത് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ past tense related ആയിരിക്കും വരുന്നത്. That's what I have noticed, right? So past tense is also important. So make sure when you're practicing, right, keep mind that you're working out on your past, present and the future tenses as well, right? Future markalle, right? So ivrate namakku simple past. I visited Kashmir last month. I did my MBA from Chandigarh. I cooked pizza last night. So അങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ past tense പോകുന്നത്. Okay, let's see what's the next slide say. Forms of verbs. Verbs ellarku ariya. So verbs, the first was tenses, the second are the forms of verbs. Verbs ilana tetti povunu, the mistakes, the common grammatical mistakes or errors that happens. So forms of verbs are basically the helping verbs that we use with nouns and pronouns. These helping verbs tend to clear the meaning of the sentence. The examples of helping verbs are am, was, can, might, will, could, and then it goes on. There are many others, so I've just included a few. It's very important to put these helping verbs in the right place, as any of the wrong used forms of the verb will be a blunder in the English grammar. So we have to make sure the verbs that we are using are used correctly. Otherwise a sentence നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന അതിൻ്റെ full meaning change ആയിപ്പോൾ. The whole sentence or the whole word, the whole sentence that you said would not have a meaning. It will be totally changed, right? So the use of verbs, നമുക്ക് നോക്കാം. Use of verbs എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്? Is, am, are they are used. These words are used in the present tense. I am, she is, they are, right? Was and where can be used in the past tense. Will shall can be used in the future tense. These will shall future tense will use here. I will pursue my post graduation abroad, or I'm planning to pursue my post graduation from Germany or wherever. So that's going to be that's going to happen in the future. So the will shall will be the future. Can and could is used for showing ability. I can hammer a nail. Then let's see what's the next slide. What the next slide says: singular and plural. And singular and plural also is a big mistake, or a big grammatical mistake that I've seen here. So let's see, what does the singular and plural mean here. Another ordinary error that students get confused to correct is the error of usage of singular and plural forms of nouns. Singular stands for a single or one thing or person, and plural stands for two or more, or two or many. However, the plural form is done for the things which are countable, and there are many nouns in English that are uncountable. For example, traffic, money, happiness, education, knowledge, research, advice, etc. So, namukku wrong usage nokam. My father gave me lots of advices. Use advice instead. My father gives me a lot of advice. The city is full of traffics. What can we do say here? The city is full of traffic. Right? So singular and plural. Onnum and more than one. So that is a big mistake. Also, it's always one of my colleagues and one of my friends, one of my toys, and one of my neighbors, because we are addressing one out of a group of things of people. So it's always one of my colleague, one of my friends, one of my toys. Uttriyil oranam nammal pick cheyumbo, out of many when we pick one, it's one of my colleagues, one of my friends, one of my toys, and one of my neighbors. Right? It's not one of my colleague, one of my friend Allah. So it's out of many when you pick, it has to be with an S. And also sometimes students use the wrong form of verb with the plural too. Plural aanappo, if it's more than one, plural aanengilum students uthri wrong form of verb use cheyarundi. People is. The word people is one person and many people. Oru aala is a person, and when there are a group of uthri alkar undengil, it's people. So the word people is plural, so use are with it. People are. People is alla. One person is. So people are aanu nammal avide use instead of is. And the crowd paranga uttri therakulla sthalam, uttri aalkar oru janangalulla sthalathilaana nam crowd. It's a crowded place, city, okay, and uttri crowd, uttri aalkar undu. Crowd are, although the word crowd means a bunch of people, but it is a collective noun, and is should be used instead of are. The crowd is going crazy. The crowd is hectic. Okay, let's see the fourth error that is made commonly: missing out articles. Article usage is very important in English. It is noticed when you speak English, right? So do not miss the articles which are a, an, and the. Use of a or use of a. A is used with the nouns in the singular form: a boy, a chair, I'll be there in a minute or two. And usage of an is used with a noun starting with vowels of English: a, e, I, o, u. Vowels are, the remaining are consonants. So when a, e, I, o, u are used, it has to go along with an instead of an a. And with some exception of sounds on an r, an orange, an honest person, etc. Right? So exceptions are there as well. Adutha nokam. Usage of the, right? A, an, and the. With superlatives: the worst, the best, the most impressive. The words having an entire world: the globe, the atmosphere, the internet. With the words of particular focus in a sentence: the river, the government, the hospital, the United Kingdom. Kingdom is plural. The United Arab Emirates, Dubai, UAE. Emirates is plural. The Netherlands, again plural. Whenever the country is named with the plural, the is used. However, the Great Britain is grammatically incorrect, even though they like to call it, and it is condescending that they can call themselves great. Anyways, moving forward, Usage of wrong pauses, using filler words, stretching words, and self correction. So, don't go ahead with self corrections, right? Just let it go. Don't try to correct it because the examiner must have not noticed it during the speaking sessions. So don't go ahead and try to self correct yourself because that's not right. Make sure you just forget it and think of the present and what's going to happen next. So idu namakku nokam, usage of wrong pauses, using filler words, stretching words, and self corrections. Too many pauses in speaking are itself a mistake, right? Three pauses edukumpo, that means you are searching for words and that is going to affect your scores. But using wrong pauses in between is a common error committed by folks or students or candidates. You should be aware of what you are talking about. Do not unnecessarily stop or put a pause to talk about anything. Use the required amount of stops in between by taking care of the pitch of your voice too. Well, instead of namala filler just use well, a small pause. I'm not much fond of gardening. This is just an example. This example on it, right? And then I have been learning abacus since my childhood, and yes, pause. I'm getting perfect in it day by day. Then you take the fillers like believe that I, fillers and stretching. This will affect your fluency, and as a consequence your band scores will be hampered, or you're not going to get good band scores. So fillers, okay, maximum try to reduce it as much as possible whenever you're practicing. Practice sessions, okay, chiyarola samayatha, make sure if your partner or your instructor, whoever you're practicing with, ask them to check whether you're using a lot of fillers like use yarondo ilio, right? And now let's check the self correction part. So according to my belief, my perception, no, I believe that, self correction again. So you lost your fluency here if you do these mistakes, right? So make sure self correction try to keep it as minimal as possible. Maximum self correction because all these whatever I said here, right? Pauses filler words stretching words self corrections these are going to hamper your scores. Scores you won't be able to reach your desired scores that you need. So these are going to affect your scores, your band scores. To try to reduce it as much as possible, right? Okay, let's see what the next slide says. Comparatives and superlatives. What are these? Comparative and superlative degrees are the degrees of adjectives. Adjectives in a degree on it. Adjectives are used to tell about the quality and quantity of anything or a person. It becomes important to know about its degrees to depict the intensity of his or her quality or anything's quality or quantity. Well, there is a simple difference between the comparative and superlative degrees. That is, comparatives are used to compare among two, and superlatives is used to show all, among all, among many. So comparative, for example, I am much more into the study than curricular activities. I am much more into the study than curricular activities. Superlative item nokuvaning adinte example nokuvaning. I believe that college life is the best part of life. So there. So make sure comparatives and superlatives, it is important, common error aanu, but I have not seen much, but it is part of the common errors that I have seen here. And not only here, most of the students that commit the common errors that they make, right? Okay, namakku adutha slide nokka endana adutha slide parayunu. Preposition errors. Usage of prepositions is another part of grammar in English. Try to practice the prepositions as these are important in English speaking. The common errors of prepositions which are done by students are so prepositions. Make sure when you're practicing one-to-one sessions whenever you're going ahead with your one-to-one sessions, make sure prepositions should be a part of it. Make sure you're not skipping out of the preposition part. Make sure you're practicing with prepositions and make sure it's correct, the correct usage of prepositions. examples. I've added a few examples. Let's check what some of them are. So what's it? The first one, I was into the class. Correct usage is I was in the class. My parents got angry on me. The correct use, my parents got angry with me. Right? In order, I'm not sure on this task. Instead, I'm not sure about this task. About so prepositions are also an important part. So whenever you're practicing, ask your the person you're practicing with to check whether your prepositions are going good or not. Prepositions practice correct sentence usage right? So make sure to check about the prepositions as well. Okay, let's see what the next slide says. Pronoun errors. Pronouns are words that are used in place of nouns. Many students are not aware of the pronouns and use the wrong pronouns in case of sentences which make the meaning of the sentence unclear. For example, usage of he in place of she, right? Usage of my instead of mine. Usage of you and yours. Usage of they, we, her, his, etc. And let's read ahead. Usage of he and she is very common error that students commit, and this can be removed by practice only. So gender, male and female, he and she, male and female, gender, right? The sex, you determine whether anano, pennano, right? Male, female. The usage of he and she, right? He is for male, she is for female. So that error is very common. One thing I recommend to my students is not to change the gender of the character you are describing. For character you are describing, for instance, describe an elderly person you admire. That's a question. Describe an elderly person you admire. A male student should prefer talking about a man and vice versa. Right? Elderly person, it can be an elderly, a male or a female, right? Elderly person, describe an elderly person you admire. So it can be a male or a female, right? A male student should prefer talking about a man and vice versa. If it's a lady, a girl who's taking the examination, she can go ahead with a lady. This will help you in the beginning, but as you get more advanced, you should practice and be more comfortable addressing either of the sex. Initial practice time. Initially, when you practice, if you're a boy, right, if you're a male, try to choose male questions. Males. For example, your question came up here as an elderly person you admire. Take your grandfather or someone who is a male character, right, instead of a female, because if you can connect with the male person, it will be easier for you. Same thing goes with if you're a lady or a girl. Try to go ahead and grandma, grandmother, or an old lady. It will be easier for you. But yes, it has to be practiced, and the more you practice, the more comfortable you become, and eventually you will be comfortable in determining the rendered gender, that is the sex, the male and the female. Namukku random different if it's a male, he aanengi, female aanengi, she aanu, right? So make sure all these 8 grammatical errors that I've mentioned here. There are many others also. I just picked a few that I could find that are most common. Right? Where grammatical errors that happens. Maybe in my next slides I'll try to add that. Next live sessions you're recording, I'll try to add those as well. But these are the few that I found and I came up today with. So make sure when you're practicing, grammar is an important part on it. It's part of your 25% of your weightage in your speaking sessions is through grammatical range and accuracy, GRA. So make sure when you're practicing, you practice all these errors. Try to overcome that and get good scores in your speaking examinations. So that's all that I've prepared for you guys today. Hope you all practice and take care. I'll see you in my next live sessions. Take care. Goodbye.